Hi guys, this is Vidas.
And Ausra.
And today's question was sent by Robert, and this is 42nd episode of Ask Vidas and Ausra podcast. So Robert writes, while comparing two versions of Franck's Offertory in E flat major from the organist, I noticed that there are some differences in the score. Here and there they have naturalized the odd note here and plus other variations. Is that normal? I suppose they modify as to difficulty or based on level of competency. Thanks again, Robert. Um, do you know of this collection, Ausra, L'Organiste?
Yes, I know it.
Have you played yourself a few of the
Yes, I have.
suites?
I have played some of them.
For people who haven't played, mastered, or even sight-read this wonderful collection, can we recommend really looking at it and playing a few times? Is it worth it?
Yes, it's very worth it, especially for those who work at church.
Mm-hmm.
It's very suitable pieces for a liturgy because we are not long, not too complicated, and actually very beautiful.
Yeah, it's constructed very interestingly. It's like it, it, it's sort of multi-sectional organ suite, right? And there are like 7 of them.
Yes.
7, and each of them starts on each note, C and C sharp, D and D sharp, E flat and E F and F sharp, G and G sharp, A flat and A, B flat and B, sort of chromatically, but sometimes they are put together into each suite, and each episode can be played for any particular spot for the liturgy, right?
Sure.
So it's like an organ mass, right?
It is basically, yes.
And it's all without pedals, or maybe pedals are not complicated. You can add like a lower part, the bass note, if you want to do this optional pedal line. But you could play everything without any pedals.
Yes.
So what Robert is asking, in his edition of Franck's Offertory in E flat major, he noticed, some notes are not different from other editions. So is this normal? Does this happen in your case? Have you noticed these things, and why?
Yes, actually, I have noticed it so many times. Because, actually the best way to do what you would have to do actually would be to compare maybe another edition and to look to which one of those 2 or 3 editions is the most scholarly based,
Yes.
And then you would also have to read an editorial word, what editor has to say about things. And sometimes those scholarly editions are very expensive. So what could you actually do? Would just go to a library to see that edition, and then maybe to write down to take some notes to your score that you own, to do some corrections.
Circle some notes.
Yes, circle some notes, add some flats or
in
sharps.
In red,
yes,
probably.
Yes.
Remember, Osha, we did that with Klaus Beckmann's edition of organ works by Tunder, I believe.
Yes.
Tunder, when we studied with Pamela Roder Finstra at Eastern Michigan University, she had this collection, and we played also from this. So she advised us to do this very scholarly work, or was it Reinken? Might have been both, right?
Both, yes.
Because we played a lot of North German
yes.
music. So what Klaus Beckmann did in his time in this edition, he changed some of his of Tunder's and Reinken's original manuscripts.
Because some editors wanted to make that music to sound more modern, more normal, I could say, and that's not the right way to do it. So we tried to get back to the original resources.
Yeah, and remember when a few years ago they discovered a copy of Reinken's Choral Fantasia an Wasserfluss in Babylon. It was Johann Sebastian Bach's copy, right? So basically, it means that Bach studied Reinken's works and mastered them and assimilated this style and was influenced by Reinken. But what I mean that Bach's handwriting had those type of sort of say mistakes that were also present in Reinken's autograph that Klaus Beckmann corrected.
Yes.
And that means that they are not mistakes, probably.
Yes,
they
that's
are
how
original.
Reinken intended his pieces to sound.
So what Beckmann did sometimes, if you have a sequence, right, and this sequence sounds like this, and you transfer and transpose the sequence into other keys, so you maybe expect to do this every time the same, in modern terms. But in those days, composers did whatever they wanted, right? And each sequence, the fragment of the sequence might be a little bit different.
Because for our modern ear, we listen to that major and minor system, like harmonic minor, for example, we've raised the 7th scale degree. But in those days, the modal harmony was still very common, and all those ancient modes, Phrygian, Dorian, and so on and so forth. So basically, many compositions were based on those modes. Of course, we were influenced by major minor, but not as much as like classical music or later music.
Exactly, modes were still very common and everyday tool for composers. So in Franck's case, of course, modes were not necessarily the very prevalent tool, but think about this way. There are a number of Franck's editions, right? And the first edition is maybe based on the autograph, right, from the 19th century. And then later in 20th century, other publishers reissued Franck's works and published them again. And some of them are based on the autograph, and some of them are based on the first edition.
Sure.
And this is different because the first edition might have done mistakes. Might
sure,
have left
definitely.
mistakes, right?
It's always the thing to be careful about, because human makes mistakes. That's natural.
Or sometimes Franck himself, in his autograph, might have made mistakes, but you never know what is mistake. So you really need, as Osha says, read the editorial comments.
Yes, I think that's the best way to do it.
So we hope this answers your question, and for other people who are wondering other questions, please send them to us, and the best way to do this is through our blog at organduo.lt. You subscribe to get our daily messages or weekly messages. Sometimes you can really differentiate between the time frame that you get them, and you can choose basically the time that you can get them, and you can reply to our messages this way and send us more questions, and we'll be very happy to help you grow. Thanks, guys. This was Vidas
And Osha.
and remember, when you practice,
Miracles happen.